Thanks for joining me on the Marketplace and welcome back. Now to the very first story. Government could encounter some difficulties in withdrawing monies from the central bank from Ghana from next week. That is, if it fails to secure Parliament's approval for estimates of various ministries, departments and agencies in the 2017 budget. George Yafe has more on this.
The executive arm of government has already secured approval for broad policies outlined in the 2017 budget, making way for it to go ahead and implement the various programs outlined in its economic policy document for this year. However, the difficulty is the estimates for the various ministries, government departments and agencies. The Finance Ministry had some difficulties in laying before the House planned expenditure for these institutions for approval. With the exception of the Local Government Ministry, which was approved yesterday, others are yet to come before the House. Now, here is the challenge. Parliament has about 8 working days before it rises for a break. Therefore, if it doesn't adopt some measures to quickly work on these estimates of the over 100 institutions, then there could be a challenge in drawing the necessary funds from the state accounts at the Bank of Ghana from April 1. According to the country's Financial Administration Act, government cannot draw from the Consolidated Fund and the single treasury account at the Bank of Ghana unless that expenditure has been approved by Parliament. So if all these ministries do not get these estimates approved, there could be serious challenges for the economy and government machinery could grind to a halt.
Now, players in the financial sector have met in Accra to explore some innovative ways to unlock Ghana's economic potential through financial payments. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in a keynote address, praised Ghana's financial transaction platforms. He urged the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System GIFTS to endeavor to enhance interoperability networks among various financial service institutions to make financial transactions more flexible to the public.
Interoperability, or the ability of a subscriber to send money from one network to the other, should be possible in Ghana as a matter of course, as it is in other countries. This is a very important issue, and it is an issue that we should really, all the stakeholders, turn our attention to. Ghana is really a blessed country. When you look at the financial inclusion architecture in this country, the banks are there, the mobile companies are there, the central bank and the GIFTS, the payment system architecture with eSwitch, which tries to target the unbanked. So we have, an architecture that, quite frankly, I don't see in any other country in Africa. I really don't see it. We have been blessed with a major architecture which have been developed separately. The eSwitch architecture is very, very important. The telcos have an architecture which is very, very important. The banks have an architecture which is very important. What we are lacking is interoperability. But interoperability cannot be forced on the players. There must be a sound case, and people have to see the sense in it. I therefore want to challenge the stakeholders that this is not rocket science, making sure that there is interoperability between the Ghana Link, which the banks are on, the eSwitch platform, and the mobile telephone platforms. It's not rocket science. If you put your minds to it, this can be done in 6 months. It can be done. But I think that it is something that, if someone doesn't drive, maybe it doesn't happen. But I believe that GIFTS, the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Service, is in a unique position to bring the banks and the telcos together to make their platforms interoperable.
On his part, the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, noted the bank is committed to instituting the necessary laws to aid the growth of the sector.
Barely a year after the passage of the guidelines for electronic money issuers, the Bank of Ghana has submitted the payment systems and Services Bill. This is a revision and consolidation of the existing Payment Systems Act of 2003, as well as the guidelines for electronic money issuers that I've been talking about. The draft bill has become necessary on account of the increasing role of communication technology, the role of fintechs, the role of telcos, as well as aggregators in the payments space. And I think this very point, I must stress, is important. We are increasingly seeing a lot of innovation from some young companies, particularly in the aggregation space. However, we need to be careful. When you link the accounts of over 20 banks with telcos and e-money accounts, we need to be sure that as much as your software may be state-of-the-art, when it comes to the security aspect, we do not compromise the health and stability of the banking industry. It is anticipated that the bill, when passed into law, and hopefully soon, will provide the necessary legal backing to the bank to support digital payments without risking the stability of the financial system.
Later in an interview, the CEO of the Private Enterprise Federation, Nana Osei-Bonsu, called for alternative sources of funding for businesses to make government's intention of making the private sector the pivot of economic development a reality.
We have been crying loud and clear over the period, and now we have an open corridor to the presidency with all the directives and statements made by himself and his team that they're going to be not only business-friendly, but people-friendly. So it gives us the opportunity to now look at what do we need to do? What are the kind of challenges that this poses? Because we also have to strategize that we have to build the capacities, we have to get the technical competencies, and we also have to seek the financial resource to be able to do. That's one angle that possibly is not going to happen overnight, but we're looking for an opportunity where there will be diverse financial products instead of the single credit system that we base on. We think if that happens, then there will be a challenge between one side of the financial spectrum versus the other side, credit versus a private equity, long-term pool of funding. The aggregation and mobilization of funding is one of the areas that we want to see the government tackle as quickly as possible to make sure that their project and agenda of making private sector the engine and the leadership to drive all this industrialization would happen.
This is on the marketplace, and today is World Water Day, and as part of our report, Sheila Tamaklo explores the use of water and how its development will be in the near future.
Behind me is a dam with water to be treated and distributed to various households and industries here in Ghana. Now, why is this necessary? Well, accessibility to potable and safe drinking water is a prerequisite for economic development. According to the SDG and Millennium Development Goal, every country needs to assure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. How far have we fared as a nation when it comes to accessibility to safe drinking water? Well, according to the Ghana Water Company Limited, Ghana has 76% accessibility to water. But is this really the case? We will find out.
The average consumption of water by households is said to vary between 60 and 120 liters per day in well-served areas. Despite the apparent improvement in water supply across the country, a resident at Newtown, Mr. Santi, says he spends between 70 and 100 cedis a month on water.
For water situation at Newtown Pig Farm, we normally don't get water. Times once 2 weeks or at times once a week. And so that's how it runs. When we don't get water, we buy from those trucks. Can pay between 160 to 200 Ghana cedis, 20 cedis, 15 cedis to 20 cedis. This tank, small tank. That's what normally we do. Times maybe for a month, we pay between between 5 to 6, 60 to 70 up to 100 cities.
Industries also spend huge amounts on water every month, as confirmed by the general manager at Special Eyes.
Ghana Water Company industrial tariff is 11 cedis per cubic meter. And like I said, last year we had some visitors from Europe who were telling us that the average rate in Europe is about €1. And this was €1 per cubic meter. This one, when we work it out, it was about €2.5. So, which really indicates that water supply from Ghana Water Company is not very cost effective for us as an industry. This is a bottling company and we use a lot of water. We use a lot of water in preparation, in cleaning, rinsing, floor cleaning, a whole lot of things. So our water consumption is quite high. And if you buy water from Ghana Water Company, it will not make you very competitive.
In the treatment of water, averagely, I'm saying averagely because we run 88 systems throughout the country. Now, the cost of production in each system is different. So averagely, putting everything together, because we can't be giving every district or area different tariffs. So what we do is to do it equally. The tariff is done equally for all. So averagely, it costs us 8 cedis per 1,000 liters to produce water. The tariff itself is less than 4 cedis. So you can imagine how much we lose per every 1,000 liters of water produced. Now, if we lose, let's say 4 cedis per every 1,000 liters, we produce close to 200 million gallons of water on a daily basis. So you can imagine the percentage and amount of money that we lose on a daily basis.
Water Aid West Africa is an NGO working with development partners and policymakers to make water more accessible to especially underdeveloped communities. Ibrahim Musa is the regional advocacy manager.
The issues of accessibility of water in our cities, in our communities, practically does not reflect the 76% by Ghana Water Company or the 89% by the GMP figures. If you go across our cities, in parts of Accra, you find women, you find children carrying what has come to be known as 4 gallons or basins looking for water. You go to Cape Coast, you go to Takoradi, you go to Kumasi, in cities. You still find this phenomenon of children and women wake up in the morning, the first thing is look for water before they either prepare to go to the market to sell or they go to school. And this does not augur well for the development of a country that we call a lower middle income country.
According to Water Aid, over 3 million people in Ghana lack access to improved sources of water. However, optimum accessibility and affordability is still achievable. But the question is, how?
I wish that every citizen of Ghana has access to good quality drinking water. And if we want to do that, we need just about some $2 billion so that everybody can have it. So if we can have that investment or that input, okay, I'm sure in the next few years we can work out to make sure that every citizen of Ghana has this thing, water in his home. Because we have a strategic investment plan and program, okay, and it will cost us $2 billion to meet that target of 100% access.
Adequate financial resources to Ghana Water is just one side of the coin. The other aspect that has to be dealt with to really stem the tide of the challenges of urban water also has to do with management, on the part of Ghana Water Company. For example, Ghana Water Company, as we sit today, is confronted with a huge percentage of what we call non-revenue water, which is almost about 50%. Non-revenue water means that when they pump 100 gallons of water, I just want to put it barely, from Wager Dam, when they pump 100 drums of water, only 50% gets to consumers. Where does the 50% go? It's either commercial losses or it's physical losses. And that is one aspect of management that has to be dealt with.
The Wager Dam, located in Accra, which treats and supplies water to your taps at home. Now, this plant on a daily basis does 42 million barrels of water, which is distributed into various households and industries. So if you're wondering where your water comes from, well, this is it. It supplies water to the eastern parts of Accra, as well as parts of Kaswa.
Sheila Tamaklo reporting for Joy Business.
All right, so that was Sheila Tamaklo's report. And in 2012, two telecom engineers, Siddiq Issa and Eliplem Senaya, lost their key coincidentally. Now, the experiences opened up an opportunity in locksmith services for them. Today, they have established their own business fixing locks, making keys, and installing security systems. They like to be referred to as the key doctors, and they will be sharing their story on today's edition of the Joy Business Van. Here's a bit of what to expect.
We were both engineers, and we had been engineers since we were employed.
Yes, we were all in the network group. Actually, he was doing... Do you give this?
I was into transmission. I was
okay, and I was into core networking.
Siddiq Issa and Eliplem Senaya looking back at their days as telecom engineers. They can afford to laugh over it because today they are pursuing another profession they are more passionate about. Siddiq and Eliplem lost their keys around the same time 5 years ago. Yes, they lost their keys in separate incidents, and however bizarre that may sound, the struggle of retrieving their keys got them thinking, this could be a business we can start. Then they started to research and make enquiries.
What we did was that, upon our discovery, we decided to buy 1 or 2 tools, and then we were running from our car boot. So initially we were doing it for friends and family. It wasn't like a business actually. So in the weekend, you take your tool, you help a friend with a spare key. That was it. That's how we started.
Get their full story on Business Live tonight at 5 p.m. Now to the Volta region, where the Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Hajia Alima Mahama, has assured traders in the whole central market the location of 231 stalls being constructed under the Ghana Urban Management Pilot Project at the market would be revisited. According to her, it would be unjust to overlook traders in the market when allocating the stalls, since their structures were destroyed to pave way for the construction of the facility. Her comments were in response to agitations by traders who are not happy with the inappropriate allocation of the yet-to-be-completed stalls by the whole Municipal Assembly.
Secondly, Takrade, Kumasi and Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, as well as the whole Municipal Assembly, are benefiting from the Ghana Urban Management Pilot Project. With a €4 million fund from the French Development Agency, the program is to be implemented in 4 cities to facilitate economic activities to increase internally generated fund. GUMPP also aims to build financial, management and ownership capacities of the beneficiary metropolitan and municipal assemblies, among other benefits. The local government minister, Hajia Alima Mahama, in the company of the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, and his deputy, Maxwell Blagoji, first inspected construction works at the whole central market. According to the contractor, Santa Baron and Bigomen, work on Lot 1 and 2 are 95% and 93.5% complete, respectively. The Lot 3, which consists of a 2-story warehouse, a police station, a fire post and a clinic, which is to serve the whole central market, is said to be about 93% complete. Lot 4 comprises an abattoir at Sokore, and it was constructed at a cost of about 4.3 million cedis. The structure is 100% completed, but needs a cold room facility and slaughtering equipment before it could commence operations. The team then moved to the engineer landfill site at Akrofu. The landfill site and the abattoir have been handed over to the Municipal Assembly. The Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Hajia Alima Mahama, was skeptical about the completion of work on Lot 1, 2 and 3 by the end of March. She, however, emphasized that traders who were affected by the demolition exercise would be considered first during the allocation of the stores.
When it comes to allocation of the market stores, those who were there originally must be given the first allocation. Those who were in the market and were relocated must be allocated too. And I'm hoping that the HMA people are there. I'm hoping that you will consider the women for the ground floor and the first floor. Put the women on the ground floor and the first floor for the kind of wares that they have. And those who have other things like materials and all that, they can go to the top floor.
She also urged the Assembly to design a perfect operational management plan for the facilities to boost internally generated funds for the Assembly.
I'm hoping that the coordinating director is here, the municipal planning officer is here, the landfill, the engineer too is here. This afternoon, they should go back to their desks and start working on the operation and management plan. It's very critical. We've had situations where things have been built and management has been so poor and the facility just ran down. Or you are not even able to get the income that you require for it. This facility should be able to give the municipal assembly a lot of income.
The Volta Regional Minister, Archibald Lecha, who expressed dissatisfaction at the delay in the completion of the project, hinted his office has already started working to lobby for a phase 2 of the Ghana Urban Management Pilot Project.
We're not happy with the delay in the completion date, and as has been said already, we'll take steps to make sure the contractors finish the job on time by the end of April. And as the minister has requested, I would ensure that we put a management plan in place so that these wonderful investments will be put to good use.
Fred Kwame Asare for Joy News.
And that will be it for this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for your company and listen again tomorrow. My name is Emmanuel. Good afternoon.